An invisible illness is a term used to describe a medical condition that might not be visible to others.
I like to say I don't look sick until I'm flat out on the floor.
I have an invisible illness, which is kind of a different beast.
Not all disabilities are visible or apparent.
People will see me jogging, like literally one day, and then I'm asking them to take my kid to school the next day. And they're just, I can only imagine, like some of them are really understanding. And then you learn who your real friends are real quick.
I wake up and I think about how I feel, how it's going to impact that day, what I can and can't do.
Maybe I was out with my friends at just a restaurant, just having fun, and then the next day I'm in bed and I look like I need to be hospitalized. Like it's
And then
off
people
and on.
think you're a faker.
How are you feeling?
Crappy.
Explain crappy.
Drowsy, fatigued, even though I slept a good 10 hours.
You felt okay yesterday getting up?
Yep. Felt perfect. Felt
Today?
Felt all rested and holly jolly.
For someone like me who the illness isn't visible or apparent, like I just go out of my way to find other people who have that kind of thing, because that's something that like immediately connects us.
Well, I used to be wheelchair bound and bed bound, and now I'm not, but I've improved. But I still can't work, still miss out on my kids' activities, and that was the hardest part. Sometimes not being able to travel back home to see my husband's family. They would either sometimes go without me, which, I insisted, or we just missed out on a lot of like Thanksgivings and Christmases there and stuff. And it was hard because I felt guilty, like it was my fault.
I first got sick when I was 10, and I just don't know what it's like to be healthy.
People are so judgmental and they think you're just faking, or, they just can't comprehend, how you can do good and then, you can wake up feeling well and then in the middle of the day, just bam, you're done, it's bed day.
If your condition is such that you have weight issues, which I do, it gets even worse because all they can see is a fat person. And then suddenly it's like, oh, if you just exercised or lost weight. Like, it took probably a decade for my dad to really be properly convinced that I was actually sick and it wasn't just an issue with exercise.
People will see me in a wheelchair and think I'm lazy. It's like if you don't have a physical, a cast or something like that, people just assume that I park in handicap and get dirty looks. I know people have gotten dirty notes on their windshields, for using their mom's pass or something like that. And it's like, you have no idea.
Being accused of faking an illness for a handicapped parking pass is a huge issue that people in the invisible illnesses face.
I try to avoid using this when I can because I'm younger and healthy. Sometimes I just get dirty looks.
It angers me, but it's almost comical now. But I think people really need to learn and educate themselves on an invisible illness. I still feel guilty and like a burden at times because my husband's doing everything and I'm just laying in bed.
But it is only 3 o'clock and I am in bed probably for the day. I'm defeated. Praise God, Gavin is having a good day. He is going to pick my daughter up from school and take her to my appointment for me.
I do what I can on my good days, and we've all learned to just adapt. But that was a long road to get there.
In the community, we talk a lot about your last good day, where you never know if this is going to be your last day before things get worse permanently. So having, even if I got better, permanently or long term, I don't know if I'd ever move out of that mental space of constantly having to be aware and check in with how I'm feeling, what I can accomplish, what I can't, and just constantly having to worry about how I'm allocating my energy and making this decision. There's no decision I make that doesn't take into account my illness. It's kind of like being married. You're no longer independent. You're making decisions with a spouse or a partner or with a child, except, I didn't choose to have my illness. It just happened to me.
Just because someone has a disability doesn't mean that they can't be a productive member of society. Because I get that a lot too, where people are I'll be telling them about my life and I'll be like, yeah, I graduated summa cum laude and all that kind of stuff. And then they find out I have narcolepsy and they're like, whoa. It's just like, well, yeah, we do things too. We don't just like we can do things. We're still people who like matter and can do great things and are worthy of respect.
I just wish people would have more empathy, and I wish the public would be more educated on invisible illness and not judge, because you have no idea what it takes someone to get out of bed.